Perfect. So we're live now. Welcome everyone to what is typically Coffee with Monta. Today it's Coffee Without Monta, but with Hannah. And we're so excited. We have Randal Wyatt from Taking Ownership PDX. Welcome, Randal.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. We're so excited to talk about your organization that has just totally taken off in the last couple of months. Um, I can imagine that you're incredibly busy, so we appreciate you taking time to talk with us. But what is Taking Ownership PDX?
Taking ownership, we're a brand new organization, soon to be nonprofit. Right now, we're an LLC, who our mission is to basically we provided an avenue of reparations in the form of repairing and renovating Black owned homes by collecting donations, volunteers, and donations of resources. And we're doing this with the goal of building equity, raising property value, building generational wealth, and maintaining this small and dwindling community within Portland, and improving the overall living conditions for Black home and business owners in Portland.
That's amazing. And when did you start taking ownership?
It started, it started as an idea back in probably May. I was sharing my ideas on Facebook. A lot of people were like, man, that's a really good idea. Obviously, I was very naive with it. So I thought that I can get into it by just having volunteers go to a home and start swinging hammers. But I would say that it officially started in early July. That's when we became an LLC. And we started working on our first home in late June. So yeah, it's been very unconventional how we've gone about this. So it's kind of hard to be like, well, it's been a very gradual start.
And you've had so much interest from the community, kind of at large, just around what you're doing and what service you're providing. How does the service in Taking Ownership PDX directly tie into equity work and directly tie into reparations? And when we think about the movement around George Floyd's murder, how does all of that really connect when we think about Taking Ownership PDX?
Well, it's culturally specific to the African American community of Portland, and reparations in themselves are a form of equity. That's the goal of reparations is to help level a playing field for a marginalized and oppressed group, which is African Americans, as we all know, historically and currently are oppressed. And so it's just that's what the equity is. It's to give them free of charge an opportunity to get some repairs done, because often in the city, what we've seen is an influx of white people moved into a Black neighborhood because Black people can't keep up with their home for whatever reason. The city comes in, puts liens on the home, hits them with fees because of complaints of these new neighbors, and they end up losing their home. So if we can come in and start helping them uh, fix up some of these things they can't afford, we can help them maintain their home for longer. Not to mention, there's just actual like life safety and weatherization issues that need to be handled, so they just have a healthier environment as well. So that's how it ties. How I feel it ties into equity and the current social, racial climate.
Yeah, absolutely. And it sounds so much in reading through your website, you really talk about systemic racism and what you shared around like the city putting liens on homes, upkeep. I mean, it's not only extremely expensive, but the system is designed so that certain folks, right, Black and Brown communities are excluded and have a harder time accessing support. And so it sounds like here's Taking Ownership saying, no, we really are going to invest in not only homes but people's lives. That's incredible.
And we wanted to make sure it's accessible, and that's why it's so great that the money's coming directly from the community at this point. Obviously, we hope to get to a point where we're getting grants and even maybe some state funding. But the great part about getting this from direct community allies is that we are free with this money. I don't have to have a bunch of stipulations, a bunch of limitations to access this money, though we are, helping those who are lower income first. But we also want to help that kind of that working poor class that I'm very familiar with, where you make too much money for government assistance, but you don't make enough. You barely scrape by with all your bills, and you can't afford to take care of these things. And we know that, raising property values, and it also raises property taxes. And so we're going to address that. But, the higher the property value of your neighborhood is, I think the better those who get paid from these property taxes are going to treat your community. And I think that's another reason why it's important.
What do you see in terms of your website talked about predatory investors and folks who are coming into Black and brown neighborhoods, buying up properties and then flipping those properties and supporting the gentrification process? How does taking ownership really not only delay, but hopefully stop that process? And how can the community continue to support de-gentrification or making sure that neighborhoods are intact?
I think with keeping the city off of them and is a start. We're really new, so I can't say that we've done a ton of that help yet. Right now, we don't have a whole lot of funding in the grand scheme of things. But our overall mission is to come in and like keep the city off of them. We have people on our board and our group that work in the housing sector who can advocate and educate so that these homeowners and business owners can identify predatory lenders and predatory developers, because they know that these homeowners are and business owners are in vulnerable situations to where you come in with $300,000 cash, we're going to take it. And then you take it and you realize, well, I can't buy another home, or at least in this area, right? And so that's why there's so much of that population has moved out to what we call the numbers. And so just identifying that and understanding the worth of their property, and making sure that if they do want to sell, which is fine too, that they're getting the most out of their property. And hopefully we can help fix it up and give them a realtor that is an ally, and in that sense, because we're not completely against black homeowners and business owners moving, because the thing about it is we don't really have a consolidated Black community in Portland anymore. When I'm born and raised here, I'm a native. It's gone. It's not there. Most of the homeowners that I help are elderly Black homeowners, because that kind of shows how difficult it's been to own homes over the course of time, and they're surrounded by white neighbors, and it doesn't feel the same to them anymore. So if they want to leave, that's fine, but we just want to make sure that they get what they deserve and are able to buy another home somewhere else.
Yeah, and the entire process is so confusing. And when you think about, you know, all of those processes happen so quickly, and it sounds like, taking ownership is saying, like, how do we be the most informed we can be to make whatever decision we want to make, and folks want to make in the community. But it's, you know, North Portland looks very different, very, very, very different, and I'm
Yeah.
sure, of course, you see that. And one of the things on your website talked about supporting people aging in place, and if they want to stay in their homes, how can you continue to support them in doing that? And why is aging in place important?
Right. Oh, because I mean, it's generational wealth, right? Something to pass down. I can't tell you a number of times now I've come across senior citizens that paid off their home in 1970 for $30,000 and now somehow owe 400 grand because some predatory lender came in, or maybe even sometimes it was, I hate to say it, a family member, somebody takes advantage and wants a piece of the equity and refinances and things like that. So and then it puts them in a situation of losing their home. That's where that advocacy comes, the education comes, and the importance of aging in place is if they want to, keep their home and they're comfortable in their home, they've been in their home for 30 years, they want to pass it down to family. That's so important. Property ownership is just so important in this country. It's the key to generational wealth.
Yeah, sorry, my dogs are barking, so you might hear that. But
No.
we were talking with Portland Homeless Family Solutions, Brandy, and she was sharing that the average generational wealth transfer for a white family is around $40,000, and the average generational wealth transfer for Black households is $9,100. And to me, what you're talking about is just so like, oh my God, not only is it built into the system, right? To strip away access for folks who have paid off their homes in 1970, right? But then continuing to add more and more debt. And then you think about the access white communities have, it looks completely different,
Hmm.
completely different. And taking ownership is saying, it sounds like saying like, how can we invest in these homes, in these families, in these properties, so that that generational wealth gap continues to grow and provide that equity that you're talking about? How do we level this playing field differently?
Exactly. Exactly. That's what's going to be needed if we really care about these communities and want to see them flourish and want to see them grow. One of the very few positive things about segregation was that because we were excluded from white businesses and just the white community, period, is that we had our own communities, we had our own hospitals, we had our own banks, we had our own lawyers, we had all these things, and the dollar circulated our community for days. Right now, the dollar can only circulate the black community for a few hours. I don't know if you've ever seen Killer Mike's Trigger Warning on
Yeah.
Netflix. His first episode is very powerful, and that's in Atlanta, of all places. So, yeah, it's important to build this generational wealth so we can invest in communities and build our communities. And not that we obviously want to go back to segregation. I love integration. I love diversity. I want to support all people if I can. Who are inclusionary, but I want to see the black community develop some of those businesses, develop in that economy, and have that economic justice and opportunity that we've been excluded from for so long.
Can I go back to something that you said that I think is really, really powerful? Of course, all of it's really powerful, but what I heard you say is if you really care about investing in these communities, and I just want to really call out the white folks listening to this, if you really care, here are opportunities coming up. And we were talking a little bit before the live, just talking about how many different organizations and businesses have opened since George Floyd's murder, and thinking about how do we invest differently. But here is an opportunity to say, I really believe and want to invest in community differently. And taking ownership has this whole plan to do that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. That's the goal. Let's see if we can implement it. But so far, we've been able to help quite a bit. It's been more smaller help. But, as we grow, and I know the big thing for us is like maybe we won't last. Maybe this is a phase. But what I do hope comes from this, is it lights a fire under other organizations that maybe are more stable, already established. It lights a fire under the city, which I've already seen some of that. We've been collaborating with the city. We've been collaborating with a lot of different organizations to just go about things a little differently, make things a little more accessible, and invest differently into these communities so that there's real tangible impact and change.
It's incredible. What are some of the things taking ownership has done since late June, when you really kind of launched into this new, not only organization, but your idea coming to life differently? What are some of the successes? What have you seen the community do? How have you been able to transform, folks' lives in the
Yeah, I
community?
mean, so far we've done some major landscaping jobs with home. Like I said, we serve a lot of senior citizens who can't get in their backyard and I mean, we've taken care of some jungle like backyards. We've been replacing windows, broken windows, that leaking windows. We've done some interior painting. We're working on, doing a lot of planning, because of permits and things like that. For the bigger jobs, it takes a little bit of time. I mean, being only 3.5 months old, some of the planning and permit work we've been working on since we started, and are now just getting to a point where it's like we're going to redo a porch, or we got a roof job, several roof jobs coming up because we really want to make sure these homes are dry and warm because we know how Portland gets in a few months. Um, we've done some cleanup jobs. There's been some situations where we had to declutter to prepare to do the extra work. Maybe there's some electrical work that needs to happen, but we can't reach the outlets. So we have been able to use our database of volunteers, which is a lot. We have over 250 volunteers signed up,
In just
which
in a
we're
couple
not.
of months.
What's that?
Just in a couple of months, you have a
Yeah.
bank of almost 300 volunteers.
Yeah, yeah. Um, so we've been able to utilize some of them. I mean, that's just a lot of volunteers. So we've been like really vocal. Like, we may not be able to use all of you. I apologize. Especially because I came into this so naive, thinking that we can just do volunteer stuff all the time. But I now understand the importance of licensed, bonded, and insured skilled workers. So that's mainly the direction we've been going to, just for liability reasons. Um, so yeah, that's a lot of what we've been doing, and just doing a lot of planning. I have a database of about 53 homes, what they need, and the goal is to stay engaged with these families, because their homes are going to have more issues over time. We're going to grow. I mean, that's the goal. Hopefully we continue to grow, get more money, and can do more work for these families, so it's not like a one and done type of thing, like, oh, we fixed this, good luck to you. No, we're going to stick around and continue to work with these families, and make sure they get the support that they deserve.
That's incredible. And that just shows 250 volunteers that people care, right? People are saying like, I want to invest my time. And if I don't have money to donate, I want to, be able to take a hammer and support someone. And then, when you were talking, I was thinking about that aging in place. And oftentimes we see older folks, their homes become really hard to manage. And if you have a lot of clutter, it can be hard to walk around. And just taking some clutter out can save someone years in their home because they're a little bit safer.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Those have been, we've gotten so much, the feedback from the homeowners for those decluttering jobs have been just make this job so rewarding. It's been amazing. That is so important. I mean, because you get to a point where you're just so overwhelmed, and maybe you have health conditions, and sometimes you get to that point where things are so messy you don't even know where to start. So
Mhm.
it's nice to get some fresh people in there, and a group of people that are driven. I mean, and these volunteers are driven. They've messaged me like, "Hey, what's up, man? We want to get to work. Why? What's going on?" Like, they've been getting on me. I'm like, I've had to apologize with you. They're really driven, and so yeah, it's been beautiful to see
That's incredible.
the community come together like that.
Yeah, absolutely. So you have enough volunteers. What do you need? Do you need more donations? Do you need nail? Like, what is it that we can, as a community, do that's actually going to be really impactful right now for taking ownership PDX? And where do you see um, COVID kind of changing maybe your initial idea or how we can support the community differently?
Well, actually, COVID hasn't really changed my initial idea, because this developed during the pandemic. It wasn't really something that was on my mind pre-pandemic. I mean, this type of stuff has always been on my mind in some way, but as far as like actually taking action and creating a program, wasn't on my mind until we were already a few months into to COVID. So we've been developing it around the pandemic. Um, but what we do need is volunteers that are licensed, bonded, and insured skilled workers, who want to come out and donate their trade, and for some of these families, because um, that helps us with allocating our funding. We need funding, like tons of that. That's like the biggest thing, obviously, to keep longevity. And yeah, donating resources, like if you work for a construction company that has access to things, or painting company, or whatever it may be, anything related to the housing sector or the building sector, that you can donate some materials, that's huge. We just got a little storage unit, so we're able to put some stuff away. And yeah.
It sounds like you are not only incredibly busy, but it's been not, it sounds like it's been such a great learning opportunity over the last couple of months, just thinking about, taking this idea and really building infrastructure around the community and community support. And donations are important. And it sounds
Very.
like you need donations. How can people donate to you? What's meaningful in terms of how volunteers are used? Like if you aren't bonded and insured, but you want to take a rake and go over to someone's house, is that going to be helpful? Or um, yeah, what's going to be meaningful?
Yeah, that is very, I mean, that is very helpful. We've been able to use some, some volunteers that aren't licensed, bonded, insured it for, for some simple yard work and the decluttering and all that. That's been great. The thing is, a job only usually takes 6 to 9 people, and we have 250. So, it may take a while before it's your turn. So as long as you're cool with that, and I know just, just the gesture of signing up, knowing that you want to do, just know like we appreciate that. And that says a lot. And if you're talking about us and spreading the word about us, and that's huge in itself. Um, but yeah, funding is the big thing. And the way to donate is go to takingownershippdx.org. You hit the donate button. Um, we have a fiscal sponsor called All Ages Music PDX. They're also known as Friends of Noise, another Black-owned nonprofit that does amazing work providing musical opportunities for young people, which is where my heart's at because I'm a hip hop artist. That's where my passion is as well. And so when you do donate, just know you're going to see All Ages Music PDX. Don't think, that's going to us though. They are currently our fiscal sponsor. Yeah, and we also are doing a match campaign right now with
Oh,
doTERRA. So doTERRA is going to match up to $15,000 in donations for the next 21 days. So we have 3 weeks left to raise $15,000 through this particular match campaign, and you can check that out on our Facebook page, Taking Ownership PDX on Facebook.
that's incredible. And your service is so valuable. And really, I want to go back to if people believe investing in community, this is an opportunity to do that. And you're so appreciated. This hip hop artist turned nonprofit leader turned homeowner renovator. It's so cool. And who would have thought, right? Did you
Right.
think that was going to happen this year?
No, no, no. I mean, I've been working in the social work and mental health sector for the last 11 years. I've been a student advocate and a mentor for Black and Latinos on probation. I've been pretty big in the judicial system as far as like, this is just not a field I've been in at all. I have no idea I would be working in housing at all. So yeah, big surprise to me too, everybody.
And you're just so already out there and people are so invested already, which is incredible. Is there anything else, Randall, that you want to touch on that you think our viewers or listeners should know about in terms of what's going on? I know the Give Guide's coming up, so
Yes, the Give Guide, and that's definitely a big one. I'm new to this; I'm still learning it, so just look for us on the Give Guide, and please just continue to help us remain. Give us that longevity because I think this work is really important, and it's already done a great impact for the community, and I think that we're starting to influence and inspire others to do similar work, or at least to have their resources accessed in a similar manner. So, yeah, that's all I have to say is, yeah.
that's awesome. And you have 250 volunteers, you have 53 homes kind of on your list waiting, interested in service. And again, when we talk about 53 homes, that is so many families, so many lives that continue to need to be invested in, build that equity, utilize reparations to support folks. I mean, this is incredible work, Randall.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thanks so much. And we appreciate you. Everyone, please go visit takingownershippdx.org. And you're also on Instagram and you have
Yep.
that match donation going on right now. So that's really, really important.
Yeah, I need to get that up on the website. It's not the match program or campaign is not on the website yet. So look for it on Instagram or Facebook. We're slacking in that area, but we'll get on
You're busy. This is a whole new world.
it.
Okay, Randall. Well, thank you so much. And we so appreciate your time. We know you're really busy and appreciate all that you're doing in the community.
My pleasure. Y'all take care.
Bye.
Bye.